Hello and welcome to our latest video from CryptOx, Oxford University's Crypto Society, where we bring together exciting new projects and make people aware of them, where they can find these tokens, where they can learn more about the project and how you can learn more about the blockchain industry more broadly. And we're very, very excited to be joined by Swanit and Santosh, who are on the C-suite of a very exciting new company called Xfinite, which has its own DApp already, or DApp, which means decentralized app, called Mazzalo, and they have millions of users already. They're focused on revolutionizing the digital media industry. It's great to have you here, Sonny.
Hey, thank you for having us.
And thank you for joining us, Santosh, also.
Likewise, great to be here.
Okay, so to get started, could you please both give us a little bit of background on your careers and how you got to where you are?
So I predominantly started my career in finance. So I was in Goldman for about 8 years. Left there, started going into tech. I was, concentrating on media and tech at Goldman already. So it was quite an interesting and easy fit for me. Moved into the technology space, started a company, sold it, and at the same time moved into a family office. And that's about the time where I started Xfinite in 2018. So I'm sure you're going to have a much more exciting career ahead, but that's me. Santosh, that's your cue too.
Yeah. So I started my career as a student entrepreneur. I started a ad tech company based out of my college. By the time I graduated, it got acquired. So kind of became unemployed then as soon as I graduated. Then ran a failed startup second, and after that I think communities really fascinated me. I've joined this community called Kairos Society, which eventually which is pretty interesting, right? So they're looking to find the most influential leaders today and try to connect them with the most influential leaders of tomorrow. So that was exciting. And then I joined venture capital from there, as Kairos also became a VC fund. And after that, I think blockchain world really fascinated me, as I could see equity itself becoming digitized, and companies could raise capital from anywhere in the world using crypto. So that really excited me. And in 2016, I moved to the blockchain world.
Okay, so it's fair to say that you've both had very varied and exciting careers. And you're still, obviously still quite young, but there's still so much experience within those years. And especially with regards to both sort of the traditional finance route and the venture capital route, there's a lot of crossover with blockchain. Is there anything in particular that appealed to you about blockchain, to sort of completely change your career? Because it's still quite a niche thing, but a few years ago, it was so niche almost to be like only associated with criminals. How did you get into that?
Hey, look, I have a very different view on this. I think that although blockchain as a technology started off with the use case of cryptocurrency, I do think that blockchain as a technology isn't that revolutionary if you think about it, right? The way I look at it is, and I always harp on about this, but you learn something called double entry accounting in school, and blockchain is nothing more than triple entry accounting in essence, right? With a third layer of verification. And so what I felt is outside cryptocurrency in general, there's a lot of application for blockchain, whether it's real estate tokenization, whether it's IP rights tokenization, whether it's supply chain management, trade finance. There's a lot, the list is pretty much endless. I mean, from what I heard, I think Heathrow Rewards is on the blockchain too. I'm not sure, and don't quote me on this, but there's just a variety of use cases that blockchain can be used for. And of course, I think the premise of blockchain through that fundamentally important white paper that everybody knows about, came about because of a need, right? A need for people to take control of money instead of it being centralized or intermediaries being involved. And I think that that's fundamentally what got me interested in blockchain. Blockchain in general is definitely a technology that's here to stay. Cryptocurrency is something that at the moment, the way I feel about it is it's too big to be ignored. And we feel here that governments will regulate it in some way, form, or fashion, and it will turn into something that people enjoy it. I think that crypto, you're a crypto enthusiast, Josh, and I think that you would say that different types of community expect different things out of different tokens that they invest in, different use cases that they invest in or participate in, if you want to be more cognizant of the terms. But I think if you're participating in a blockchain network, then you need to be conscious of the volatility involved, the risks involved, etc. Things can move very fast. It's not a regulated market at all at the moment. We hope that'll change, but hopefully that kind of answers why. So it's an intersect between finance as well as the traditional world, cryptocurrency that is, but blockchain itself as a technology can be used for a variety of use cases and doesn't need cryptocurrency at all. Hopefully that answered your question, right?
That definitely answered my question. Yeah, I think that it's always interesting to hear people's different takes, and your take on the sheer breadth of what it can be used for is really exciting, because I suppose we've seen an almost feudal system recently with, you create something and you're the intermediary, and all you're really doing is bringing two people together, but you're taking such huge economic rents from it. And it seems that blockchain could partially solve that. You've seen things like Uber, maybe even YouTube you could use as an example, where all the intermediary is doing is providing a platform. The amount of value they're actually creating is quite minimal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that big tech is if you look at the way the world is moved, you should think about there being fundamental periods of transition or change, right? One of those was when the internet was invented, right? A second one was probably when the smartphone was invented, right? And so all these fundamental, and if you look at the Fortune 500 companies, they completely changed during these eras, right? And so could it be, and I just want to pose a question to the audience that is listening, could it be that blockchain maybe is one of those moments in history? We'll never know. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball at the moment, but I think that fundamentally it might be, right? Because think about how fast it's grown. Think about how much adoption that's taken place between 2 years, Josh, that you have observed of cryptocurrency. I think now, today, you can legitimately say there's a lot. I attended a conference in 2017. It was in Vegas. There was literally, anyone from like a man with their dog, guys wearing Bitcoin, chains. There was some amount of ex-regulators there. Just lots of different diversity there. But if you look at the space today, I think there's a lot more legitimate entrants that have come in that have transformed the space. There's a lot more adoption from big companies. You've seen articles of Facebook. You've seen IBM has gotten into it. You've seen that Porsche, Volkswagen has gotten into it. I mean, there's a lot of use cases here and a lot more mass adoption. Microsoft, Amazon, several players, JP Morgan, Quorum, and the list is endless. So I think today we're at a place where it's no question that there is something there.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the adoption, especially of hedge funds. So I read recently that Coinbase lists 10% of the world's top 100 hedge funds by assets under management as their clients. So usually they say, if it makes money, it makes sense. But if it makes sense, maybe it makes money as well.
Yes.
How about you, Santosh? Do you have any insights that you would like to share?
Yeah, definitely. I feel all of this is happening because we are moving to Web 3.0, and like Swaneet said, that's like that big moment, right? And which is too big to be ignored. So I look at we built Web 1 essentially on top of all the open source protocols. We moved to Web 2, which is more social, applications and apps. That's all cool, but money in a sense never came onto internet so far, right? So which is why we have payment gateways today, which connect the analog world with the internet world. I think Bitcoin is that aha moment for actually bringing money onto the internet world, and that fundamentally changes the way we build platforms or networks, right? My perspective here is Bitcoin and Ethereum are like one of the earliest user-owned networks, and this was not possible before we put money on the internet, right? If we didn't have money or value on internet, there is no way we can move this value at internet scale, right? So what does that empower us, right? So if we can put something, if we can put value on internet and we can move value at the speed of moving a photograph or an email, that is revolutionary, right? And with that comes, it opens up a new world, and we can build things very different. We can build platforms and networks which are more responsible, which value their users, not only their privacy and all of this, but also give them a stake in the network, right? So today, who owns Ethereum network? Everybody who owns Ether token owns Ethereum network, right? So similarly, I think that's where Xfinite is exciting for me, because it has built a pretty strong ecosystem already. It has a strong use case and existing users. And we just launched XCD token to kind of decentralize the network, right? That means in a way, whoever is owning our token eventually in future owns our network. And that's quite fascinating.
Yeah, definitely. We hear a lot of theories about decentralization, and they're definitely not anything new. Going as far back as Renaissance Italy, you'll find people theorizing about how the best run states and the best run communities are done in a much more decentralized fashion, where there's no single point of failure. And that actually leads really well onto the next topic I wanted to discuss, which is, how are you guys at Xfinite? How are you forming part of this new blockchain ecosystem? What is it that you guys are doing with Xfinite, and what do you hope to achieve?
Yep. Look, I think when you think about Xfinite, you should think, it's a way to change the value that consumers can get from giving their time, engagement, eyeballs. I mean, you energy, right? If you think about the biggest and the most important thing is the transfer of energy amongst human beings, right? So how do you take that? I mean, you spend several sort of moments of your life watching and consuming video. Things are faster than ever before. I mean, when I went to university, Josh, and I might sound like a dinosaur, but I promise you I'm not. But there was no Deliveroo, right? So there was no food delivery apps. You would have those traditional pizza delivery, services. But think about how much you don't even think about that moment anymore, right? Where you would not have that ability to order food. And so it's the same sort of thing where in Xfinite, we're trying to build new habits for consumers. We're focused on one of the world's largest markets, which is India. India traditionally has always had a content industry. It's been a democratic nation, always had its own content industry, so never had a starvation of content, so to speak. And then you've got the plethora of users there that now have access to 4G for the best part of 2 years, thanks to new entrants in the telecom space that have come up, and they basically enabled these users to get access almost free to data. And data is almost like a drug, right? Once you get used to it, you can just never have enough of it. And today, people have arguably more time to spend on their entertainment than ever before, because life arguably has become easier than before through technology, right? So what do these users do? They spend predominant amount of time that they have entertaining themselves. And from an India perspective, entertainment is through content and consuming content. If you look at where telcos would earn most of their money from today, it's through data consumption. And that doesn't mean, if you look at the highest value driver of data consumption, it's video consumption, right? More than audio consumption, just because it consumes more data. And so what we've done is we've created a decentralized application that allows users to download the app. We're available on iOS, Android, Play Store. You can actually consume content just like you can on traditional media platforms. And it's premium content. So it's not user-generated content, which anybody can upload. It's proper premium content like Netflix. It's available for free. So we wanted to democratize content. We wanted the ability, and we didn't want any barriers to entry for people. So they don't have to pay a subscription fee for an all-you-can-eat buffet. They actually get the content for free. We will start monetizing through advertising, but we will actually share economics with our consumers by rewarding them with these coins based on an engagement algorithm that we've designed in-house. So that's effectively what it is. It's I like the way Santosh actually calls it. It's a, what was it, Santosh, they said? Pay to play model?
Play to earn?
Play to earn model, correct.
Yeah.
Do you want to add more to this?
Yeah, definitely. So Xfinite is kind of changing the way we consume content, right? So today, essentially, there are places where you subscribe to watch premium content, or there are places where you get some free content and then you have advertisements in exchange for that free content, right? So we're trying to change this business model because we feel it's unfair to users who are giving their time, which is, as Swanit said, which is the most valuable asset, right? And we felt it is interesting if we can incentivize people who are spending time with our platform and share ownership to these users, right? And this is where the crypto side of things come in. And when we want to scale this business model globally around the world, and we want to incentivize millions of users, there's no way we can incentivize them with a piece of paper for sure. And we also didn't want to just use a centralized reward system for a very long time. We actually want to connect the crypto economics towards the change of business model here, right? So people who watch content on Xfinite get rewarded, get incentivized to do that, and that's exciting, right? So in a way, we are gamifying the content consumption space on one side. On the other side, we're building a network, and that's where the token comes in. Eventually, all these missing or all these independent ecosystems will merge together, and that's when Xfinite becomes like what Swaneeth calls as a decentralized entertainment ecosystem, right? So it has it has very interesting business model on one side. It has a product which already has users, and which is also quite a little bit of a rarity in the crypto ecosystem, right? So there are mostly today there are developer protocols, or there are products built for enthusiastic users, but the ecosystem itself is moving towards mainstream users, or more mainstream users want to get into this ecosystem, and that's where platforms like Xfinite become really exciting. I also agree. Today, you are seeing NFTs and rise of these as the initial signs that mainstream users are entering the space, and that's also one piece we're currently working on as well. And Swaneeth can talk a little bit about how we integrate media, entertainment, NFTs with the entire play to earn model, which is really exciting for us.
Yeah, so just to add a little bit onto that, I think you know what I would like the audience here to think about is, you know, imagine, and I'm going to use Western examples for that, just because it's easier. But imagine you're watching, you know, Star Wars, right? And you're able to take your lightsaber into, you know, while watching it, into your wallet, and then you're able to move that lightsaber into your Fortnite game and use it as a weapon. That lightsaber effectively is an NFT that can be transferred across ecosystems. And you could do the same thing through with advertisers and brands. Today, there's so many companies that spend so much money on digital advertising and out-of-home advertising, and maybe don't even get to close the loop on what they're spending their ads on. But imagine if you were able to get a, I'm going to use a brand name here, but get a Pepsi, you know, and put it into your wallet, and that Pepsi bottle actually fills up over the course of you sharing that Pepsi bottle with other friends. You can actually report back to the brand that, hey, I've managed to actually get directly correlated advertising, and these many people have actually viewed your product. And you know, that's something that's really exciting for us to be able to do. Obviously, as a platform, we're not there yet. But if you download our app, we are actually improving it over time. And like Santosh said, we wanted to work backwards. We didn't want to raise, we raised equity funding to build our product to show that there's a real proof of concept here with millions of users that have registered on it already. We've got distribution partnerships, which are extremely meaningful and powerful. You know, whether it's Daily Hunt, which is India's third largest app in terms of MAUs. We power the in-flight entertainment of one of India's largest domestic airlines, SpiceJet. We have our app integrated into an existing subscription video on platform, enabling users to pick whether they want to choose you know, subscription-based model or a freemium model, which is Mazalo. And so these type of partnerships help us get distribution and reach out to millions of users, in effect allowing us to get more and more data, which makes our, you know, algorithms internally smarter, and us able to target more efficiently, and then use blockchain to be able to track habits without compromising any privacy of the users, right? Which is, I think, today as well, and you'll see this as a theme coming up after DeFi, NFTs, you know, the next, you know, self-sovereign identity or identity coins, privacy coins will become quite prevalent, right? Like you wouldn't want to know, you wouldn't want the world to know what websites you visited. What if you were able to protect your privacy through a token, which actually has your identity confirmed, and you know, it doesn't need to verify it again and again. So I think these are some of the themes that we're incorporating into our ecosystem or chain. We chose Algorand as our chain to build on top of. We went through a 4-month evaluation process. We went through other chains, and we found that Algorand was actually extremely efficient from a TPS, transaction per second perspective, and throughput. We also have a great relationship with the management there. And so you know, it was a great fit for us. they invested, they participated in our token. So, I think from that perspective, it's been extremely a meaningful partnership. We're featured on their website and all that. So.
Okay, so there's an incredible amount to unpack there, and all sorts of different things that we can touch on. First of all, just I want to say how amazing it would seem to people, maybe even only 20 years ago, the whole play to earn business model, where it used to be you had to pay maybe £60 for a video game, and you'd get basically the same game every year, but you had to buy the new one because no one's online after that. They only use the newest one, and you're paying every time. And not only are you giving them money, but you're giving them an incredible amount of time. I mean, when I was about 15, I would spend far too long playing some video games, and we still do spend an awful amount of time. But if we could be not only getting these games for free, but earning money from them, people would have laughed at the concept years ago. Earning money from playing video games, or earning money from consuming, TV shows. It's absolutely fascinating how the business model works. And also the mention of Algorand. I've watched quite a lot of videos by Silvio Micali, the founder, and he's been incredibly impressive, especially with the whole way that Algorand is built. Very long-term, sustainability focused. It's a marathon, not a sprint, all that sort of thing. And one thing that quite intrigues me is that despite the merits of the project, it's not got that kind of negative hype, as in the sort of pump and dump hype where people go crazy for it. It seems to be one of the most professional blockchains, if that's the correct word to use. And on that note, I would like to ask, how does the XCT token power the business? How does the business model correlate to the XCT token?
Yeah, look, I think ultimately our goal is to enable the users on our platform to be able to earn XCT tokens. I think Santosh has a great analogy of it. But before he gets into that, I think that we are constantly also looking at new ways that XCT can be used onto our platform. And so, some of it I'm not at liberty to reveal right now. And by the way, I echo your thoughts on the way Algorand has positioned its blockchain. And I think that we would like to do something similar where, we're encouraging long-term holders to participate in our network, to be able to allow us to show them value over time, and build a strong cult community that actually believes in this whole media revolution that is going on, and how how it can actually transform ultimately everything that's going on. Santosh, do you want to say your analogy about how the token will?
Yeah, if I may add here, I'll just revise where we got here, right? So we started with a play to earn business model for customers who are watching content. And we already have a bunch of downloads there already and existing users. So that's great. And then we went ahead and launched XCT token to build the network in a decentralized way on one side, right? And the token is currently live on a couple of exchanges. It's built on top of Algorand. It's on top of 2 exchanges right now, and we'll make it more available for more token holders to get a piece of ownership of the network. And then on the other side, we're also building NFTs to engage our users in a much more interesting way. So Mazalo is our dApp right now, which has users. And literally yesterday, we've had a soft launch of Mazalo NFT platform to kind of integrate the entertainment ecosystem with even NFTs, right? So this is how I look at Xfinite's ecosystem, and I've joined them to lead this ecosystem, right? So that's super exciting. And XCT token currently is at its early stages, and the long-term plan for this is to build Xfinite's ecosystem in a decentralized way, and that's what XCT allows us to do. So it's a very interesting model token holders to own a piece of our decentralized ecosystem.
Yeah, it really is fascinating, the approach that you're taking. I would say fascinating, not in that it seems particularly novel to most people. You know, the long-term approach is always the best. Like we said before, marathon, not a sprint. But for crypto, it's very much, you know, get rich quick seems to be the motto. Whereas with you guys, it seems incredibly well thought out and well planned, and with the sort of approach where you would appreciate it a lot more in 10 years' time than you do now, because you don't see what's coming in the future. Like you were saying, you can't disclose certain things, but with the possibilities that sort of platform has. I mean, you look at something like YouTube or Netflix, or I don't know, certain video games. The amount of traffic that they get would be absolutely trumped by something that could conquer all of India and then with it the world, because people are incentivized to use it. It's like you have everyone winning rather than just, you know, consumers and producers. It's truly is a community. But I am wary of time, and I know that you guys have got another call coming up. So I wanted to wrap up with one final question, which is, how would you guys recommend to people on the cusp of their careers? Because of course, we're a student society. Those people who haven't got the experience that you guys have got, haven't necessarily got the same amount of knowledge or perspective. What would you recommend to those of us who are starting our careers and are interested in the crypto industry?
Go down the rabbit hole, because there are no two ways to learn this ecosystem. You got to start somewhere. That's how we started it as well. I think whatever we learned in the blockchain or crypto space, we learned by doing. So the only advice I give to people is just do, because by the time I'm not a big fan of learning from books around blockchain, because by the time a book gets written or published, the ecosystem is changed entirely, right? So the best way for you to learn this ecosystem is just go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, in fact, we should touch base after this, Josh. Maybe if you could give us some participants in your community, and we will happily do some form of airdrop with them, just so that they can own their first crypto, albeit small, but at least get into it, right? We would love to be the ones to be able to do that, number one. And number two, I think that, you know, what I would say is, when somebody asks me, hey, how much should I invest in Bitcoin? I would never tell them, hey, put in all your savings into crypto. That's not the way to look at it. Look at it as an asset class, just like anything else. So you have to be super careful. You have to be, you know, cautious of risk. But at the same time, I think that, you know, you're at a very young age where you're able to take a lot more risk than somebody like, I don't know, my dad, for instance. You know, so I think that that's important to take these risks at this stage. I think don't underestimate the learning, you know, learning outputs that you get even from failures. So if something goes bad, you know, you have to learn from it, get up and do it again. Don't obviously repeat the same mistakes, and just keep learning and keep moving on from it. And I think that over time, you'll find that even banks now are focusing a lot on crypto and crypto related assets. I think it's becoming increasingly important to not ignore. I think there are some concerns about KYC, you know, regulations, you know, criminality, but I would turn that question around and say, hey, you know, the traditional greenback has been used for a lot of you know, risky endeavors in the past as well. So I don't think that, you know, it's any different in that capacity. And I don't mean to, that's sincerely my opinion. I don't mean that to harm anyone, but I'm just throwing the other side of the coin. But there are risks, and I think that, you know, you should assess them, but definitely get into them. We would love to speak to anyone who's interested to talk about it. Internship opportunities, doing something cool. We're all for it, and we really respect students who are taking the approach of learning the stuff early, and essentially having a view that this is going to be something in the future. So that's why they're in this society.
No, I
Yeah,
completely
just to add a
sorry.
point, Josh. In the past, there was no way to maybe a few years ago, there was no way to earn crypto, right? The only way to get into crypto was probably trade or invest. But nowadays, I think a lot of networks are looking for contributors, because these are like permissionless open networks. So you can always join them and look for ways to contribute. And we are not only looking to engage with your community through airdrops, we're also looking for very interesting and exciting contributors, right? Maybe help spread a word, maybe like how you're doing, right? Create content around the network. These are all very interesting ways to earn crypto. So I feel that's a very underrated way to get into crypto. So earning crypto by contributing is also a point I wanted to add to what Swaneet said.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with all of the points raised, really. I mean, people act as though crime didn't exist before crypto. And I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. But as well with the points with doing over reading, I mean, that is the entire reason we created the society. It's to try and give people more practical exposure to crypto, because you can read as many books as you like. Until you experience these sort of things, you're only going to have, less than half of the required knowledge and the required experience. So 100%, we're very, very happy to have you guys on, and I think there's a lot of common ground that we share in terms of the way that we see the space. So I'll make sure that the community is well informed, and you guys that are watching, make sure you check the links in the bio and the description so that you can get more of the Xfinite project and what they're trying to do with Nazalo, and make sure you download the Nazalo app as well. But thank you very much, guys, for the time today, and best of luck with the project.
Thank you for having us. See you again soon.
See you, everyone.